things. So as promised in my last vlog, here's a little mini course for you. Strategies for maximizing sleep. These are things that I have done over the last 4 to 6 months that have really helped the quality of my sleep. Now, specifically, these things are being measured by my little Fitbit Inspire 2. And so that's kind of how I'm quantifying my sleep and the quality of my sleep. So it's going to be key in these next few weeks for me as I'm prepping. But as we found out, is key for quality of life, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it here. I'm going to make this big so that you guys can see it. And let's first of all start with where sleep was, right? So I've had this Fitbit for about 2 years now. And typically this was very average for me, was a 76 sleep score, 77, basically like sub 7 hours of sleep. And so each night it breaks it down for me as far as the different cycles of sleep, REM, deep sleep. It gives you a little sleep score that is based on all of those things. And so this is where I was for the most of those 2 years that I've had this. And specifically, you can see this was the end of last year, December 3rd to the 9th, and November 29th through December 2nd. That's where it was, okay? Then, as I started instituting these strategies that I'm going to outline, here's where it's at now, right? First of all, I got a PR this week of December 10th, right? 90. I had 89s multiple times, but I had never had a 90. And the end of last year, while instituting all these strategies, I finally got this 90 right down here. Then the end of the year and the beginning of this year, you can see here, January 7th, 80, right? The week after that, this whatever week this was, probably January 14th, right? 80, okay? And just to show that that was not a fluke just from the beginning of January, right? This is February 11th. And then, of course, this last week, ending February, 24th, okay? Both 81s, all right? So not a fluke. These things are working. So now let's go over what are those things that are working, right? Most of these things have been coached up from others by me, all right? So strategies that have paid off. This one has been big for me. Basically, middle of last year, Alberto, I've commented in a few podcasts, bro, how do you get such good sleep scores? You've got the same, Fitbit that I have. And he said, you've got to cut off electronic devices before going to bed. All right. He said 2 hours, right? That's what works for him. Now, for me, that's a little bit tough. A lot of times I work at night for my clients. That's when my creativity is the best. And I'm sometimes working, right up until I go to bed. But if I cut it off 15 minutes to an hour, and I'll elaborate here in just a second. If I cut it off 15 minutes to an hour where there's no electronic devices, no, of those electronic lights coming into my face, 15 minutes to 1 hour before bed, that's what has been key in getting my sleep quality up while still, being able to do the things that I do at night, right? When I'm the most creative at work, right? So as part of cutting off those electronic devices, I listen to a podcast as I'm drifting off to sleep. So basically 15 minutes before I go to bed, or, done with work for the night, ready to go to bed, turn off the computers, turn off the phones, turn off everything, turn it down, start my nightly routine, which I'll elaborate on as well. Okay. I'll go ahead, put a little podcast on my phone. Specifically, I like to listen to priest sermons. Something about the rhythm of the homily, the tone of their voice. I just drift off to sleep at what seems like in a matter of minutes. And unbeknownst to me, my phone just shuts off, in the middle of the night, and so that's typically kind of what I do climbing into bed. All righty. I keep my room a little bit on the chilly side. And this was something that I discovered actually this summer. My wife is very cold-blooded, and she likes to have the house really cool. At night we have the windows open, fans are blowing, etc. And it's cold in our room. It's uncomfortable to walk into the room to feel that cold. However, that being said, I kind of bundle up under the covers and the sheets, and I sleep really well with that room a little bit on the chilly side. All right, this is nothing new, right? Melatonin on examine.com, 300 micrograms to 5 milligrams is the recommended effective dose. Okay. And so again, part of my, cool down, or my 15 minutes, 1 hour before going to bed, is after I turn off all those electronic devices, I go out, and specifically for me, I typically take 2.5, 3 milligrams, and I accomplish that through 3 milligram tablets, right? So we know that 5 milligrams is the effective dose, 300 micrograms to 5 milligrams, as we said. It's hard to find anything less than 3 over the counter. I've only seen it once where there were 1 milligram tablets, right? So typically what I do is I buy the 5 milligrams and I break them in half, and I take 2.5. Or if I can't find the 5 milligrams and I can find the 3 milligrams, I'll take those, right? So keep it in that effective dose, 300 micrograms, 5 milligrams, right? This has been kind of key for me. Winter sheets and blankets in the winter, right? So I just talked about keeping the room chilly. In the wintertime, it gets a little bit too cold. Like if my feet are too cold or my hands are really too cold, I can't fall asleep, right? So I got to get those fuzzy sheets and those warm blankets so that I can really kind of cuddle up into there and then stay at least warm enough that I can sleep, right? But then of course in the summertime, I got to get rid of the fuzzy sheets because they're too warm, right? I got to get the traditional summer sheets, minimum blankets, etc., right? And then, as I mentioned, background noise, a soft fan, humidifier, other noisemaker, right? I kind of found out in this summer, having that fan going in the background to keep the room cool, it drowned out all the background noise. We live in the Sierra Nevada mountains. We've got coyotes and animals outside, and with the windows open, you can hear all that stuff and it wakes you up. So having that fan, in the background, that noise drowns all that out. And now, even here in the wintertime, we have that background noise going. So, all right, those are my strategies that have really, like I told you, it's quantifiably increased that sleep score from 76, 77 to 79, 80, 81, right? Those are my strategies. Now, these are things that have helped others, right? Some people tell me they got to wear as little clothing as possible while staying warm enough to sleep, right? Very little clothing is what has paid off for others, okay? No socks or even, blankets over the feet, okay? This is big for my wife. It's been confided in me with others too. They can't have socks. They can't have their feet covered up, right? And so, yeah, a lot of times the wife, she'll just kick the covers right off of her feet. An eye mask or other method of limiting light to the eyes. Everything has lights on it anymore. The chargers have lights. There's little LEDs, on the bottom of computers, TVs, there seems to be little lights everywhere. So an eye mask for some people have blocked all that out, and it helps their sleep quality. And then soft earplugs, probably similar to just drowning out, the noise. So soft earplugs has helped others, right? Now, what do you do if none of that is working? Okay, so here's my break glass in case of emergency. So chewable melatonins or dissolving melatonin, even gummies, on the nightstand. All right. My 52-year-old bladder wakes me up a lot of times in the middle of the night. Right. And to be honest with you, sometimes I'm proactive. If I get up in the middle of the night, the first thing I do is I'll just reach over for that, little 2.5 milligram, chewable gummy or dissolvable gummy. I'll just pop it in my mouth, go to the bathroom, come back, and I'm ready for sleep, basically, or getting back to sleep, I should say, right? So that's kind of one of my break glass symptoms in case of an emergency. Now, if I have something on my mind that I'm not going to be able to sleep, right? It's not resolvable that night, sometimes night after night. As a last resort, I will take diphenhydramine, right? It is super cheap. You can buy generic brands over the counter for like $1, okay? And I don't even need, they always come in 25 milligram tablets, right? The trade name is Benadryl. They come in these little pink 25 milligram tablets. I don't even need that much. I'll just take basically the 25 milligram tablet. I'll break it in half, take that with my melatonin. That'll knock me out. Okay. So there you go. Little mini course for you guys today on maximizing sleep. Hopefully those strategies will help you. Maybe there's some things that you haven't thought of before. Yeah, and that's all I've got for you today, gang. You take care now. Pleasant dreams. Bye-bye.